People with ADHD and all mental health are looked down on by the world around them, but we will protect you here. We exist to motivate you, to inspire you, to listen and love the story you want to tell. We are here to understand you and to help you gain the confidence to truly be yourself. And you just might be more powerful than you think you are. Make no mistake, we've got your back. Welcome to Lobow Spark. Something for someone.
Spartans! What is your profession?
Welcome to Season 8 of Lobow Spark, igniting new sparks. Lobow Spark is proudly sponsored by Feather. Feather your impact with Feather CRM. If you need help managing your online relationships, go to www.feathercrm.io. Lobow Spark has started a fundraising effort for Crisis Text Line. We have a goal of $19 per episode, as $19 supports one person in their time of absolute crisis with their mental health. $19 an episode is the goal, but just $1 would mean so much. If you would like to donate through our fundraiser titled Lauren's Infinity, the link is listed in the episode's description. Lauren lost her life to mental health 3 years ago. She was my wife's best friend and close to so many. Lobow Spark is supported by the help of Terri Shubilla, Clair Simpson, Guinan and Kirk Hofstrom. Without those four people, this podcast could not exist. Today's group episode centers around the topic of ADHD and finances. Money management is something that people with ADHD often struggle with, and it can have a severe impact on their lives. Join us for this conversation as we discuss what each of us use in order to help our individual ADHD manage money better. We discuss our struggles, our successes, and as always, what we are recently most proud of. ADHD friends featured in this episode are Terri Shubilla, Guinan, Kirk Hofstrom, Casey Elliot, Grace Banyan, and Jesse James, with a special video appearance from Raw Creature as well. Together, we are something for someone. So this topic was brought up by Terri, and it was on ADHD and finances. And mother of God, do I need y'all's help, because I am the worst ever of all time with finances. And we're just going to go through and give a little bit of what our struggles are and provide some tips so that those out there listening can maybe try something that, I don't know, is new. Why don't we start it off? And Terri, if you could just give a little bit of the reason why you chose it, and we'll go from there.
Okay, so I actually am a certified financial counselor in my job. And, I've been doing it for a couple years, and a lot of times I will get people, in all of the jobs that I've had in my company, I've gotten people that want to share with me and kind of break down. I always have to push the tissue box over, and with financial counseling, especially because that's before it comes to wealth management, investing, or anything like that. This is budgeting, credit building or repair, maybe consolidating to help, so you're not spending $1,000 on payments every month when you could really only be spending $600 on payments for everything, or helping people see where their money is going. So I get a lot of people that they're in very stressful situations, which the money situation is so stressful the way it is. And this is something that's offered free through my company to our members. So it's not like, okay, you have to pay or you have to, sign up for this or that or the other thing. It's completely free, but people are still hesitant to ask for that help because there's such a stigma with money, don't talk about money. There's so many people, and I've even seen it in my industry, we'll just pay your bills. We'll just pay your bills, and I'm just, thank God I'm the one who did this. So I get, people with all those situations. I get people that are depressed, and maybe they are depressed because of something that's gone on, like a death in the family, and they haven't been able to pay their bills and they just don't know how they got behind. Or maybe they have chronic depression and it's always been a struggle. Or this money situation is making them depressed. And, a lot of times my meetings go from the money to the whatever situations that they're in right now. And that's I kind of spend a decent amount of time with them on that. The reason I brought this up a month or two ago to do as a group thing is because I had just had one of my sessions and I was just like my heart was ripped out. I'm not going to give away too much because, confidentiality and everything, but I was with a woman who is the mother of 2 young kids, and she needed help with budgeting and everything like that. And she had kind of started talking about how her children have ADHD. And I was like, okay, well, you opened the door for me, so I'm going to tell you, because I'm not quiet about it. I'll say it. I'll be at a business function, at a work event. I'm like, oh yeah, I got ADHD, whatever. At this point, if you don't like me, I'd rather know now. And so, then I told her that I have it, that I didn't find out till a couple years ago. And she was like, I think I do too. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I will help you. We'll get you a budget that works for you. There are going to be some things that are going to have to be cut, and you look at this, that, and the other thing. We have the spreadsheets and whatnot for the budgeting templates and savings plans. And I was like, but you should really call your healthcare, your insurance company, and see what kind of psychiatry they have that really wouldn't cost you too much. So then you're not adding that pressure onto you, because you're going to need help with that. And getting your finances in order is not going to fix the mental health. It could help, because then it could open up some access, but it is you're not going to fix your finances and then everything's good and you're happy. And she said that, she would, but she's already paying, I forget how much, but, $50 a pop each time her children go to therapy for their ADHD. And she really wants them to have what she didn't have. And I was just, usually these last an hour. I was with her over 2 hours, and, we're both crying. And
you were being a therapist too.
Yeah.
Pretty
much. So that's why I was like, there are people struggling with this that don't, and people who have had ADHD their whole life, who are just finding out now in whatever age they're in, and seeing that stress of oh my God, I forgot to pay my bill. I have the money, I make the money, I have the money, but I just keep forgetting to pay my bills. And now my credit score is going down, or I'm getting late fees, and I'm paying more money for things that I shouldn't be, because my brain don't care,
Yeah.
So,
That's perfect. Thank you so much for bringing this up, because I physically could not, if I set up auto pay, that was a disaster, because I wouldn't have enough money in the checking to pay, so that then you get the parentheses around the check, when you look at your thing. Yeah, so that happened all the time. I spoke with Jesse last night. He is brand new to this podcast. So honestly, Jesse, I would like your thoughts first on finances.
Oh, I need help. I was able to, do pretty good whenever I was younger, but what I used to do, I had a dry erase board up on the thing. I would write down every time I get a bill. I put a pin up there because I had torque cord on the bottom. I'd put the bill up there, and then I'd also write it, and I'd write the date down, just so I had something visual, like a reminder,
That's awesome.
Now I wish. I do that now with little things, but it's I'm so far behind on.
Yeah, my thing is, if I don't see it out of my account, a credit card is the worst decision in history for my ADHD, because they're telling me, oh, you have this limit. Okay, well, I spend this, and then they send me a bill for $5.
Yeah.
And I spent $800. What? How does that help the ADHD, brain? But thank you very much.
It doesn't. It helps them.
Right. That's the whole point. Thank you, Jesse, very, very much. Let's go with Grace, because she seemed very enthusiastic about this when I sent the email.
Okay, so I get to share with you all a collective feeling that maybe you haven't felt in a bit, but I'm recently unemployed. So I'm in, that moment of panic almost, but like you are just like going towards the next goal that will get you the money, right? Like, cannot panic, do not have time to panic, but inside screaming. It's very much, the dog sipping coffee in the fire, the 2020 meme. So besides that, before, this happened kind of suddenly last week, I had finally been getting paid enough that I was able to look at my credit and things like that. And I actually need to move out of state back home. And I can't find a place that will rent me because my credit is not good enough. Apparently some things have, like Jesse said, actually fallen off because it's been so long. I didn't even know that was a thing. It has been so long since I've checked my credit. So some of that stuff is actually falling off now, and it is going to be kind of under control soon. But the fact that I was like in a position to move, needing to move to help my mom, and I couldn't because of my credit score. And I've had a job and I've had a decent pay history for a few years now, and I've lived at the same apartment for over 3 years. Like, I should have plenty of things, I would think, that would give me the rights to rent another apartment.
Right. I don't understand that. Like, so maybe Terri, since you're in this business, you can explain, like, why is it that in terms of renting or in terms of getting a loan or whatnot, you could have $200,000 a year coming in, but if there's like if your credit's not good, it's like, no, you're not approved for this 30 cents. Like, I've never understood how that goes.
So I do not understand why renting does. I mean, I could understand them wanting to find out from your previous landlord how you were on paying rent and everything, but I don't know how your other bills have anything to do. That's why I don't agree with landlords pulling credit for rental purposes. I think it's stupid. I think it's ridiculous that medical collections goes on your credit report. Sorry, you're about to get me fired up because I'm like,
no, and that's the whole thing too, is like all of these are medical. They're all medical things. None of them at all should even have gone to collections, because we're all struggling right now, man. Like, all of us.
Right.
And they just don't seem to care. The collection agencies are just raking in the money right now.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Terry's about to get pissed.
Go.
This is gonna be good.
Okay, so I don't anymore, but I used to. Decision loans, a credit union, not a bank. So it's a nonprofit financial institution, non-predatory. This is like the financial institution that cares about financial literacy and making a way for people, no matter what demographic, what financial situation, trying to get people to live their best life and not let the finances be the part holding them back. So when I was the one who would be like, oh, I'm approving this loan. Like, yeah, I know this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't care that there's like these couple things on here that, everywhere says is bad. And, you learn all the things that you don't look at this, you don't look at that. And I'm like, I do not care about medical payments. I do not care about student loans. And if I see, I like the way I explained this to a girl I was training, I was like, I look for the green flags. Yes, there are some red flags. Like there are certain things that are, okay, let's see, can we make an exception for this because it's outside the policy? But I'd be like, I look for the green flags. So I tell you right now, go to a credit union, and because you'll get your loan.
Okay. That makes sense. But Grace, so I'm sorry that you're struggling with that right now. Like, what, I mean, is it all the medical stuff?
Yeah, so it's all been medical. I had my surgery last year and it's, just from like I reached my max out of pocket, and it's just kind of what happens before a surgery. You have to get a bunch of like scans and things done, and it's just, it kind of happens. And then I was unemployed at the end of last year, and it just kind of happens very quickly. So yeah, I've figured it out, thankfully, but I've had to use Notion, my favorite little online software, to organize and make all of the databases with all of my bills and all of my things, so I actually see stuff in a way that makes sense to me now. And I've spent hours and hours researching about credit and how to budget better. And the crux of the problem that I see every single time that I come into a budget is that they assume that your rent is supposed to be 30% of your
Yes,
income.
yes. I've never understood that either.
And hello, I am single. That's not possible. Like, that's just not possible for me unless I make $5,000 a month. And
Right.
I don't know if anybody knows what, the median wage is in America, but it's like not close to $5,000. So, I have been getting paid a fairly wonderful wage the last few months. However, they take so much out in taxes, especially because I'm in Oregon. They take out even more in state taxes.
Yes.
They take out like a third of my income there. I'm like, so how exactly am I ever supposed to get ahead here? I think between like, $2,500 and $5,000, it doesn't even really make any sense because they take so much out in taxes that it just doesn't make any sense. But I have opened up my first credit card, and I've figured out how to use it safely.
Good for
I'm only
you.
using it for Disney Plus and and like
sorry, that's fantastic.
and like Kindle. I think my Kindle Unlimited is like the only thing. And then every now and then I'll get like some socks.
There you
And
go.
I paid off like as soon as it hits. I check it every day after I make the purchase.
And they
then I pay
hate
it.
that. They hate that. That's what the credit card companies hate that. When
Good.
Good.
I kind of treat it like a video game.
Okay, so that's
as soon as I get it.
But that's a good tip. Like, that's a great tip, is treat it like, fuck the fucking credit card companies. They don't want me to pay this right now, so I'm going to pay it right now.
Yeah, I found out that if you do it right, you actually don't pay anything at all, and they just raise your credit score. And so I'm like, okay, well then fine. I just pretend like I don't have $300, and it's gone. It's just gone now.
Right.
That doesn't even exist anymore.
Kirk,
I had to make a secure credit card. Of course, I had to give them $300 so that they would loan me $300. But
right. So it's both. So both tips so far from Jesse and Grace have been seeing it. Essentially, is whether it's a whiteboard or it comes through, you pay it immediately. It's visual. So we got two visuals here on seeing it, which I think is the biggest thing. Casey, what do you have to say on this one?
It's been a major struggle my whole life. And part of that is, it's a generational poverty thing and now here I am doing the whole single mom thing again, but I've worked at it really hard and paying attention, setting reminders, whatever the heck I need to do, putting a sticky note on my forehead. I've done that before to get certain things done that since December, I managed to raise my credit score 60 points. But I've got to get my ducks in a row to be able to qualify to get the funding I need for the farm. The long and short is it's going to end up being, for my sons and myself are building a farm. We're all neurodivergent, all ADHD, some with a slight touch of some autism stuff going on in there. And being cooped up in an office or anywhere else is not the place for us to be. We just need to be outside and leave us the heck alone. Well, if it's green, I can make it grow. Always have, always will. And I did this experimentally about 15 years ago just to see if it was feasible, and it worked fantastic. But that property is gone. That left in a divorce. So now I've got to start all over from square one to get it up and rolling. The phase 2 part, waiting on funding there is, I told you about it, but we want to put in like 10 or 12 little tiny houses and have what we call agritourism, where people come through, they get to see what's going on, but we can also have retreats. And I was like, we all just need to show up, have a camp out at my house, and it will be good.
You're bringing ADHD people together is what's happening.
Yeah.
That's because you can't go there unless you have ADHD. Okay. So you can't go to the farm unless that happens. Casey, do you have any advice or tips financial for anyone out there?
God, I wish I did. Other than,
I know, me too. Like,
you know, I know they didn't teach us a whole bunch about that in school. Like when I went through school, and I'm older than all of y'all. Oh my God. Anyway, we got basic U.S. government and economics and that sort of thing. And it was just really kind of up to your parents, I guess, to teach you how to do that stuff. Well, my mom's got ADD. So we made it, but there was no plan of action of anything, you know. And so I've kind of had to flounder and swim and try and figure out how to make it work.
But you have.
And so it's just been, I've had to try to read and learn and try to figure it out on my own, really, because, you know, I can't afford to have anybody come teach me how to do it.
Yeah,
and
I remember.
Go back to just pay your bills. Well,
no.
Chica, what if there's not enough money there to pay those bills?
Well, and also not only that, but like it's the ADHD thing. Finances are a delayed consequence. It's always a delayed consequence. And so, and that's what hurts us the most, I think, is that it's not immediate. You don't see it right that second. It's a month down the road or a year down the road, Grace, for you with the medical things. Now, all of a sudden, but we don't see that. We don't see the, you know, consequence coming down the road. We see what's happening right now. And that's I think, the biggest issue. Thank you, Casey. That is excellent. I can't wait to stay in one of those cabins, like, immediately. Kirk, you probably have some good insight on this, I have a feeling.
Yeah. I wanted to jump in about 10 times.
I know. I could tell. I wanted you to wait just a little bit.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, one, medical stuff is like the U.S. is really, really bad at actually taking care of people. It is not. Makes me angry. I could talk about it for a really, 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 really long time. Even when I came back to start taking meds again about a year ago, like I had taken Ritalin and Strattera for over a decade, and it took me 2 to 3 months for someone to be willing to prescribe me something. So I'm paying over and over and over and over and over and over and over again to go see someone just for them to confirm something that they've known for 20 years. And I'm in, okay, I spent $200 and I had a five-minute conversation. So I'm like, what did I just pay for? I have no idea. You know, then I go in somewhere else and then they say, I don't know. I have no idea how to answer these questions. Maybe we'll set up a follow-up. Yeah, that'll be $300. I'm like, well, you just said, I don't know. That's all you said. So yeah, that's getting insurance figured out so that doesn't happen is really, really difficult. And a lot of ADHD people have trouble holding down normal jobs. So getting insurance is super, super difficult. A lot of us like to be entrepreneurs and blah, blah, blah. So then it's even harder to get insurance and you have to remember all that stuff. You have to remember the steps. And then when you remember them, you have to have to go do them. So that cycle for someone who is ADHD is exhausting. I have gone everywhere from having really, really bad finances to really, really good finances. And I'm finally starting to get like, oh, hey, I'm good at this. There was a point where I was living with a friend and friend's dad had a bad day and basically said like, hey, get out. I don't want you here. And I was on a moped and I had a backpack and no job. Like I've been there. And I've also been 1,000 miles away from my family. But I've also been at the point probably where I am now where I can pay for pretty much everything I want to for 2 people by myself. And you know, we talked about autopay. Like autopay does not work for me because if autopay happens, then suddenly I don't know where my money is, and that's So I think this is one of the weird benefits about being like addicted to my cell phone is that I'm always looking at, hey, there's an app for everything. Okay, cool. There's an app. Oh, it's a score. It's a number. It's a game. Okay, I check my credit score. Oh, it's right here as well. Like everything is right here all the time. I know what my bank account is. I know when my bills are due. When I get an email telling me I missed a bill, I just go in and pay it on the app right now because I clicked a link. And I don't even get email notifications. I just look at my phone so much that I will see the email before the notification comes in, just because I'm constantly clicking stuff. So in a really weird way, something that's normally like a weakness, it has become a strength in finances. And a couple of years ago, not a couple of years ago, like 6 or 7 years ago, I was living in Chicago and it's insanely expensive. I had my car repoed. I was walking 2 hours to work, like just to save money. I had no money. I still have that car now. It's almost completely paid off. I'm at the point where like I've got money invested in multiple places, and no one taught me to do that. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't pay anyone to teach me how to do that. That was just like, I'm here all the time anyway. I mean, the big thing is like I made it a game and I had all this information in front of me. I was like, okay, might as well just go. Okay, cool, I got a number, follow that. Okay, cool, I got an email. It's not a good email, but it's okay. I click it, now I pay for the thing. All right, there's a button here, button here, button here, button here, done. It's all paid for. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So then I put them all in the same folder. So like I have a folder in my phone that just says finances. So I check one, and the second I log out of that, my ADHD brain wants to find something anyways. I'm already in that folder. So I see, oh, there's another financial thing I haven't looked at. Oh, cool. Follow. Everything's done.
That's actually, that's incredibly smart. So right now we've got whiteboard, visual, Grace, visual, do it immediately. We have Casey, who basically says whatever, do whatever works. You have to learn it yourself. And then we have you that makes it into a game.
Yeah, I've tricked
So these are
myself
good things
into seeing
so far.
things that I need to see. That
Right.
is, I've used the ADHD crazy momentum to pull me into like, oh, hey,
Yeah.
there's this little square. Hit all the buttons. It works.
Right. That's awesome. Thank you, Kirk. Leo, finances. What you got, buddy?
I've got a long history of fucking up my finances. So a lot to pull on here. It was kind of interesting because one of the things that I did that was incredibly stupid was got out a ton of student loans because I went to college, and actually I had a full tuition scholarship when I started college, but then ADHD kicked in, and I had no idea how to deal with it because I had no idea that's what it was because I didn't figure that out until the last year or two or so. And so I ended up taking out all sorts of student loans. And I kind of was just, kind of with a career as a software engineer, like I started off making pretty good money. And essentially I kept putting things off going like, eventually I'll be able to pay for all of this. And I pushed off as much as I could for as long as I could because I didn't care about it. And so I figured out how to pay the bills that I had while continuing to go to school and using some of that to help prop up some of the other areas in terms of paying for shit. And so I ended up going back after I got my undergrad and I got a master's degree. And I kept kind of moving along. And then, the pandemic hit. And at this point, I had actually started working on a second master's degree because the federal loans that I had, because I had federal and private loans. So I really completely fucked this up in all sorts of ways. But the federal loans were coming due. And so I started going to school for a second master's just to so I wouldn't have to pay off the rest of the stuff. Which at some point during the pandemic occurred to me that this is a really fucking stupid system. And, maybe there's a better way. And so that's actually what started me down the path of entrepreneurship, because I was like, okay, my salary continues to go up, but I'm really not, my lifestyle isn't really changing. I've got kids and they're expensive as shit. And we make sure that they're taken care of and whatnot. But I was like, I make a good living. I should be able to pay for things fairly easily. And I can't because like costs keep rising, all of this stuff. My credit score sucks because of, issues I had in college, and I'm still suffering from that. And I think that's the dumbest thing that we focus credit scores on like, past behavior when that doesn't necessarily dictate the future, like especially if you look at earning potential and everything kind of typically going up over time. And so what I did is I kind of just started studying all sorts of finances. I made myself finally care about it, and this was I kind of realized I had ADHD. I kind of like started to piece together all the puzzle, and so I said like I have to start caring about this. And essentially what I realized is like kind of living the standard life that I thought I was supposed to live, but go to college, get a good job. Yeah, like that's all you need. Then you get a house with a white picket fence and 2 kids and a dog. That's all a complete lie. Mostly because of the way the economy is actually shifting. And I did a whole bunch of analysis and research on this, and it ended up leading down some very weird places, but I was finally starting to get my credit score back in order. And then I quit my job in the middle of the pandemic and couldn't pay for anything, mostly because I thought I was going to be able to, start a company and have it take off and do well, which of course, that's not that easy. So then I just essentially tanked my credit score even more for like, 6 or 7 months before getting a job and starting to pull all of that back. But yeah, so I've pretty much done everything really badly in terms of finances. But I have learned enough now that I kind of see what the goal is. And I realized I kind of had to break everything down as far as I could in order to like build it back up to something that works. And one of the reasons I did that during the pandemic was because I realized, okay, federal student loan payments are stopped. So I dropped out of that second master's program because I'm just racking up like more.
Damn it.
More
I was
here.
hoping you would have said you got the second master's. You could throw me one of those.
I mean, I'm about halfway through it, I think. But it wasn't really like the thing is, it wouldn't have done a whole lot to actually help anything. And all of these systems are working against us, between the banks and the credit card companies and the collections and the student loan, like all of them are trying to fuck us over. And so, from that standpoint, I was like, okay, we've got to figure out how to do things differently. Like figuring out what it meant to be an entrepreneur and figuring out how to essentially take ownership of the work that you're doing. And that's been a bit of a struggle trying to figure out how to do all of that, because one of the things I realized, I spent my entire career in kind of corporate, that's the way they set it up for you. So the company takes care of the insurance and the company takes care of this and that, and so one of the things that was quickly apparent to me when I left that was like, I have no idea how to do any of this shit or how to make any of it work. The trick is, I think, to figure out something. Like you have to figure out how to build out your assets. Basically, the economy is growing faster than wages. And so what you need to do is you need to figure out how to take ownership of that. But, mostly I think one of the things that we need more of are we need people to understand that they can build out businesses online, and we need to make it a lot easier because it's all way too complicated. Anybody can do it, but you need to figure out all the rules. You need to figure out like how to do it. And that is a daunting task. And it's all intentionally made difficult. The future of the internet being very much community-based, and I see a lot of potential for communities to do things like be able to provide loans and to be able to help with health insurance and things like that, to benefit by kind of grouping people together, and you pay like a certain rate. based on the number of people you have involved. I think we need to simplify that whole process, but I also don't think the government is structured in a way that it's going to ever do that. And so we need to figure out alternative solutions. And speaking of alternative solutions, there is something I found that has been helping me. Like what it is, it's like this actually like financial education thing. And it's set up to where you pay it like $10 a month for 2 years. And that actually reflects positively on your credit score. So they created this subscription thing about financial education that helps you build a credit score by giving you this like super low cost recurring payment that then helps you build credit. But yeah, I think, you know, getting to the point where you at least understand the systems, even when they're all terrible and they all fucking suck, and they're all working against us, being able to understand that is the battle that you can win. And once you understand how the systems function, then you can start playing the right game, at least. And that makes a huge difference. And you know, my whole thing is I never cared enough to bother to figure it all out. And so I needed to force myself to care, because all of a sudden I said, okay, well, I realized that like what I'm doing isn't working. You know, I'm following what I thought was kind of the trick to winning that game, and then I realized I'm playing the completely wrong game. So from that standpoint, it's figuring out the game that you need to play in order to get you to where you want to go, and you know, figuring out kind of that thing that you're driving toward, that long-term goal that you can work toward, has been really important for me too. Like trying to figure out where I want to get to. Because that helps me, because, you know, since finances, you know, as you said, Lobow, which I thought was great, that, you know, it's a delayed consequence, right? When you figure that out, then you can start saying, okay, well, if it's a delayed consequence, then I need to figure out a way to plan something in the future that makes me care about the stuff that I'm doing now. And so, okay, well, I'm building toward, you know, buying a house. I'm building toward, you know, buying a farm, whatever it is, whatever your goal is. Having that plan that you're looking to make sure that you care about the rest of the stuff going on, and knowing what it's going to take to get there, that's what can really, I think, help you be successful. And that's what's helped me be somewhat successful, although in a very roundabout way. And I still am really bad and my credit score sucks, but at least I know why it sucks. So
I feel like it's something that I need to be better at in order to be like a good partner, or like a viable partner, because I'm a risky partner if my credit score isn't good enough, or if I have so much debt, or
You gotta be
like,
kidding me.
oh dude, yeah, of course.
Because of your credit score? What does that have
There's
anything
so
to do?
much. I can't get an apartment, bro. Like, right? Like there's so many things telling me that I'm not worthy of the things that life is supposed to give you, like because of my money issues. And I think that like we kind of realize that as we learn about money and learn about how these systems don't really work for us, that like it's a traumatic process to realize, and to realize that it's happened to your family, and like it's happened to everybody that you know, and it's just like this system that we're kind of stuck in. Going over my finances as well, I realized that like it sounds like everybody else as well, like my parents didn't teach me. Turns out my mom has been paying hundreds of dollars a month in overdraft fees for over 45 years. 45 years.
The overdraft
hundreds of dollars
fee,
a month.
That's what got me.
Calculated out just like the minimum of what that would be, and that's $250,000.
Jesus Christ.
Right, like so.
See,
okay,
I don't see that. My brain doesn't
taught
see
those
that.
things.
Like,
so I told my mom about it, and since she understands, I gave her just like a few basic tools, and she picked it up like that and is fine and hasn't had an overdraft fee in like 4 or 5 months. It's fantastic, but we aren't taught those things, and unless we're taught those things, we're screwed.
That's amazing that you taught her that, though.
It's amazing that she listened.
Well, that
Yeah. Say something real quick.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to, when you're talking about like the whole overdraft thing, I remember, you know, that they would actually wait to transfer. Like I would have bills like lined up to be paid, taken off my debit card, and like they wouldn't transfer the actual payment till like I had already spent more money to where it would overdraft the account with the banks. So that way the bank can make money. And you also said about like, the tax and everything. I lived in Pennsylvania for, the past 20 years. They also take a bunch of state taxes out. You actually pay, it's called a privilege to work tax. You pay that every year, and I think it's like $52 just for you having a job and paying taxes.
A privilege to work tax?
Yes.
The system is so fucked.
The fuck is
everything? Like,
it's Pennsylvania. It's the Commonwealth. It's very corrupt up there. Not only with that, I'm actually having trouble. I was supposed to get my income taxes. I filed for them in January, but since they're from another state, and they're holding them in the IRS. I've tried to contact the IRS, and I did collect some of that pandemic unemployment money. They want me to re-verify my ID through ID.me, even though like I've been verified already. Like I won't let me verify again, and they're just bouncing me around all over the place. And it's impossible to get the IRS with it. Every time you call, they say, wait till the next person, and then it'll ring for like a minute, and then it'll say, oh, all of our operators are busy. Call back another time.
Yeah, and ADHD people are going to call back, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what happens.
And they want you to call. They want you to call when everyone else is, when you're working too, because most people work, 9 to 5. You know what I mean? That's the time that their offices are open.
So, Terri and Kirk, y'all seem to have like Terri, you work in this industry. Like, is there a way to help here?
First thing I want to say is grace. I think what makes a risky partner is one that can't accept you and help you grow and be willing to do work with you and pitch in and help teach you if they know things. So you're not a risky partner. You are worthy. And I say, fuck any partner. That's not a partner.
Right.
On that note, I do have to take off for my son's soccer game.
Yeah.
But,
okay, you have 5 seconds. What are you most proud of?
Okay. What am I most proud of? I am most proud of helping Lobow start monetizing his content and launch his Patreon page. Because, again, this is me fighting the system by giving ammo to the individual creators, giving ammo to the people to start, like, just building their own systems.
He's helping me fight my own heart. It's great. It's going really well.
Yeah.
Thank you, Leo.
All right. Take care, everyone. Great seeing everyone.
This is a good time to bring in a video from Raw Creature. She was unable to attend, but sent a short video on the topic of ADHD and finances. And we thank her very much for doing so. So here goes.
Hi, everybody. I'm sorry I couldn't be here. Lobow, you're awesome. So, this is the one thing that I do that helps me manage my money. Is I have several different bank accounts. And I make sure, because I remember always growing up that I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to have enough money to pay this. I don't want to spend this amount of money. Whereas I know some people with ADHD are like, money, spend it. I hide money from myself. I take my mortgage payment and I split it into 2 paychecks, half now, half when I actually pay the bill. I make sure that I look ahead on my calendar and I take all the money that I know I'm going to have to pay, and then I hide it from myself so that when I do things like food shopping, which I'm not great on a budget at, when I have the free money per se, that is the money that remains in my checking account, which is only on my debit card. Now, I do have a credit card, and it is for absolute emergencies only. It doesn't stay on me. It is not used very often. It's for things like, hey, my car broke and I need to fix it. And I use it very, very sparingly because I did get into credit card debt really, really bad in my younger years. So that's the best advice I have, is being able to just be honest with yourself, sit and hide money. Put it into another bank account so that you know, with whatever you have on your debit card or whatever you use is money that you can freely spend and still have the money for your bills. Other than that, I don't really have any other advice. I try really hard not to. It's an active everyday thing to not spend all my money all the time. It's super difficult, but love all you guys. I hope you have a great podcast, and Lobow, you rock.
I think it's time for what we are most proud of. However, does anyone have anything else to say about finances? We've gotten really good tips. We have a professional in the industry. You know, it's a drag. Like, it sucks, and it's not our fault that we suck at it. That's my biggest thing. It really isn't. Like, it's not our fault.
I kind of did what Kirk did with the folder, just by accident, because I started putting all of my apps that I use into one cluster so that I can go back and forth between the two of them. And that works out really good. The other thing
I do that too.
that I've kind of stumbled on that actually kind of freaking works is, like, for example, using our farm thing as the plan. I look at A to B and ignore the bullshit in the middle. So I take B, where I'm wanting to go, and reverse engineer it. Okay, this is where we need to be. Where do I need to start? What's in the way? And tackle those hurdles one at a time. So it's just backwards maybe, but that's how I do it.
Well, that's how we all do it, which is what makes us awesome, because it eventually works.
Yeah.
It eventually will work.
So, like, one thing that I learned and then look at when I'm doing financial counseling is, which, by the way, when I was told I was going to get certified for financial counseling, I was like, are you guys sure? I don't know what I'm doing, you know? But it was helpful for myself, like, learning this stuff. And then as there are things like, there are some people that they come in and I'm like, you're probably a step above what I could do for you. Like, I help people that are struggling. And that's what I want to do. I don't want to take it any step further than that, because, like, I want to make sure everybody has that starting point, as opposed to then working on the next steps with investing and wealth management. But I went on a tangent there. So one of the things is you kind of look at what were the cultural norms of each person, or how did they grow up? What was the talk around money growing up? What were the finances of the parents? And I think everybody pretty much agrees none of our parents taught us anything. But then there's also what situations did you grow up? Like Casey, you said generational poverty and everything. So that's for example, my parents were divorced when I was 3 years old. My father's an alcoholic, and my mom, a single mother, trying to put herself through school to get a better paying job and take care of 2 little kids. I have an older sister, a couple years older than me. And even though she never said anything, I literally cannot remember her ever saying either to us or to somebody else that I would overhear or making us feel this way. But I just always kind of had that awareness that money was scarce. And I remember, going out to eat and looking at the prices on the menu before I would even look at what the food was, to try and get the cheapest thing. And I used to, if I had any change or dollars or anything, I would sneak into my mom's room and go into her hamper and put that money in her jeans pocket, so that when she did the laundry, she'd be like, oh, there's money. Which, I mean, obviously, it couldn't have amounted to
that's
really
the most noble thing I've ever heard of in my entire life. Sorry, I love that.
Oh, thanks. I thought it kind of made me nerdy, but so it's just things like that. You're your mindset around money, how you grew up, what was the conversation or lack of conversation, what was the energy about it. And I remember, I saw myself as an expense, as a burden. Not that, and like I said, not that my mom had ever said or done anything for me to feel that way. And I don't know if it's just in the ADHD sixth sense or something like that. I just have always been so aware of that and always trying to make myself less of a problem, less of an expense. I want the cheapest thing. Just give me the cheapest thing. I don't need the party. I don't need the cake, whatever. So then I look at that with other people too. So that's something for I guess that's a tip in itself. Look at how you grew up, what was the thing around money. But a struggle that I had, that wasn't my struggle. That was just whatever. That was just my life, I guess. So a couple of years ago, I called off my wedding and canceled it. And when I was planning it, I got really good at putting a certain amount of money every single time I got paid. This money went in here. This money went in here. I'm not pulling it for anything else. I didn't spend too much money so that I would pull from the savings. I got so good at it. Then, I called off the wedding and emotions. And when you're emotional, and this is before I knew I had ADHD, so I was unmedicated, didn't go into therapy or anything. So I just spent. I was in treat yourself mode. I don't even know what I got for it. I'm just I got a couple things from Target. Where did this go? I don't even know. And then it was actually a few months after that they told me I was going to get certified for financial counseling. I'm like, I think I need financial counseling. I'm not sure, but and that kind of comes to another tip that I have. So if maybe spending is an issue, maybe not so much the spending part of it, but just the budgeting and being not understanding how am I out of money again? I should have enough money to cover these things. I would say look at how you feel when you're spending money, or you in the moment you might not remember, but if it's a few days later and you're looking at this thing that you just bought and you're just thinking how did you feel when you purchased that? Because that might give you insight into something. So I need to go walk around the stores. I'm really not an online shopper. I need to feel it. I need to see it. I need to experience it, and I gotta bring it home right now. So I don't have the issue with online shopping, but I will go walk around and pick up stuff, and then waiting in line, I don't know. I buy all the crap that's in line. But if you kind of look at what you're feeling when you're spending the money, that kind of helps too. And sometimes that isn't even an issue. The spending of money isn't an issue. The paying bills on time isn't an issue. It's just a fact of there is not enough money to pay for me to live right now. And unfortunately, the only tip that I have for that is Kurt's tip about find a way to screw over corporation, not corporation, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, you were right. Yeah.
Yeah. Grace is all fired up. I didn't expect this conversation to be so fiery in terms of people hating the whole country and the systems and all that kind of stuff. I love it now. But I think, I've learned a lot from Jesse's dry erase board, the whiteboard. That right there resonated right there. If I were to write down on a dry erase board on my door what I have spent money on, goddamn, that would be I'd be embarrassed every day, but embarrassed enough to fucking fix it. This has been awesome. This has been a lot of fun. What are you most proud of? And I am going to not call on Kirk first, like he thinks that I'm probably going to do.
I did.
I am going to call on Casey first.
This whole, ever since spring break, my job has been a shit show, and just trying to hang on without going to jail has been interesting. So today, I took today off because my daughter had an all-day track meet and sat in the bleachers and watched kids and had a blast and probably got cooked. But I'm just proud of my mental state, and my worthiness did not make me go to work today when I had the hours to go and watch my daughter.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So you are proud of the fact that you could have fun, which a lot of us struggle to accept that for some reason. I've never understood it, but that's awesome. That is fantastic. Jesse, what are you most proud of? I know we just spoke last night, but you gotta go with a different one.
Yeah, I know. And talking about finances and stuff like that, and we talked about some of the things I'm dealing with right now. But I'd have to say, for being so versatile and being able to adapt and just still have that drive to keep going forward. You know what I mean? Even though things I still I'm still able to have that motivation, have that determination to push forward and not let it break me, break me down.
God, I love that. Let's go with Grace. What are you most proud of?
I feel like I don't know how to put it into words. I have not completely lost my mind or gone into like risky behaviors, even though I am unemployed.
That is massive.
I'm very proud of myself that I have not like completely freaked out and like lost my sense of everything. I've just been using that energy to like organize and make lists and try to like think of the things that didn't work in the last job so I can try to avoid them in the future and like actually just focus all of this energy into something.
You know how hard that is to do, Grace? That is fucking amazing.
Thank you. That's why I didn't know how to put it into words, because it feels
no. It makes sense to all of us. It makes sense to all of us because, of course, first thing, need money, risky behavior. Let's do what the instant. That is unbelievable. Kirk, what do we have?
This has been, I feel like one of the toughest parts of maybe the last year, is even though I've like got back on like medication and I'm part of a community now, which is cool too. But like figuring out and really diving into my own mental health has been really hard, like really, really hard. Trying new things, working with someone who's going to push me, like it's a challenge sometimes. And I had like a rough like month. It just here, like I was out of my own body. I wasn't doing anything. I felt like there was days at work I'd go there and I'd just go. And until like, I swear I was working with customers while I was doing that. Like I'm on whatever was happening here was on autopilot because whatever behind that was just dead. No movement, no. I had to like shake myself back into reality every once in a while. And it's hard to go, okay, I need to observe what happened today and, I need to figure out why and talk to someone about it and try to figure it out and try to implement changes and like, how am I treating my body? How much am I getting outside? How much am I like, and so it's like all these things that I'm supposed to be doing. And if I'm not doing them, I'm harder on myself, which is one of the things I'm not supposed to be doing. So it's a weird cycle to get out of. And one of the important things is to be proud of myself for, changing and being in a good cycle, whether it's weird or uncomfortable, or there's going to be days where I stare into outer space. But the fact that I'm challenging that and bringing that up to people and working on it, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of
Well, you
working
should
on
be.
that continually.
You should be. Terri, what are you most proud of?
Well, Kirk, I could completely understand what you're saying with brain, like trying to improve and it just sucking, and you're like, why? What do I really need to improve myself? Like, do I really want to be better? Can I just be an asshole? Like, things were fine then,
Well,
right?
You can. It's just in doses.
I know. So I've been having a hard time. I try to write something every single morning of what I am proud of myself for. And sometimes they're really stupid. They are so stupid. Like, I can't even give examples of what they are because they're just so deep within my psyche. But my God, I get out of bed every day. And I've been having a very hard time mentally, emotionally addressing things. And I do not know how to ask for help. I do not know. Like, somebody will say, like, how are you? And I say, I'm fine. And, half an hour into the conversation, like at therapy, and he's like, well, you told me that you were fine, but like your body language, he's like, your body language gives you away. I'm like, I am never going to say I am not fine. Like, I'm never going to be like, I'm not good, because there are so many fantastic things going on in my life. There are so many good people in my life, and it could be so much worse. So like, when it comes to verbalizing, I'm like, I can't say that. Like, oh, how are you? Oh, I'm feeling whatever. I don't know. But I guess what I'm proud of myself for is I have asked for help. Just support,
That's
friendship. Yeah. So I don't want to scare anyone. I'm not like bad. I just there's a certain loneliness, no matter the people you have around you, how many people, how great of people, but there's a certain loneliness when you are addressing things that nobody else has experienced. So that's been the fucking toughest thing ever. But I found that kind of sharing that with certain people has been very helpful, and I may have underestimated their ability to understand and empathize with me. So I'm proud of myself for asking for help and sharing
Absolutely.
things I needed to talk about. So
That's kind of like the hardest thing anyone could ever do, especially people with ADHD, excuse me, is we don't like asking for help. We want to be the ones that help. We don't want to be the ones that say, hey, please help me. Like that just never happens. So what I am the most proud of, with a grain of salt, is I started a Patreon page that Leo is helping me with, and I am monetizing some of my content now. I am proud that I was able to say that, like, I am worth more than doing this for free. But everything that I've done,
now we just got to get that nasty taste out of your mouth when you say it.
I want to throw up everywhere. Every 5 seconds, I want to puke. I am damn proud of myself for this, is that I followed through with, so like within 24 hours, I had someone sign up for the top thing, of course, which is the most work you have to do. But then someone else signed up for the top thing. And then someone else signed up for the top thing. So I have been making these videos, and Terri, I hate to call you out on this. Terri supported me the first 30 minutes. And I was like, holy shit, now I really got to fucking do that. Like this, like this is for real. But I am so proud of what I have been putting out there for those top tier. I mean, is it not like it's way
Amazing.
more detailed than anything else, and I'm proud of it. I think the content's the best I've ever done. So I've had fun doing it, and I can also use that content later for other things when I need an idea. So it's not just, you know, I'm proud of myself for doing it.
Yes.
It's
Great. It's real and raw, and like,
it's extremely detailed. Thank y'all very much for doing this. Jesse, I'm so proud of you for coming on this after you just came on the show last night you know.
Hey, man. No, I'm just happy to be a part of something, man. To be honest with you, because like I moved away. All my family's up in Pennsylvania. I don't have no family down here.
Well, you've got family here. So
yeah, I know, and that's what I feel. I feel the love, passion.
That's the one consistent theme. I'm tired of people not feeling good about themselves at all.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of that. So anyways, it's been wonderful Friday. Y'all have a great one. Thank you, Terri, for bringing up this topic. And love y'all. I'll talk to you soon.
What is your profession?
If you would like to watch this episode completely unedited and in its entirety, please join my Patreon page. It's got a lot of really useful information in it. Simply click on support the show in the episode's description. I would be honored.